Okay, so I just finished recording the lymph video where I talked about the 7 major points. And I went off on a tangent in the beginning, but that's okay because I don't have to know what I'm doing. I just flow with what God gives me to share. And so I am processing some of the things that I said on the previous video, and I would like to expound a little bit more. Because when we're learning about the nervous system, when we're learning and really getting curious about the way that God designed our bodies, we're not just taking in knowledge, we're opening ourselves to receive wisdom. And I know that God called me to be a nurse because He was setting a platform and a foundation for me to be able to receive and discern wisdom. And He really designed our bodies so miraculously. Everything about God, and He just never ceases to amaze me. His truth is hidden in plain sight. And I just want to say that, I am teaching you about the nervous system, the lymphatic system. We're going to learn about hydration and blood sugar. And I just want to invite you that this isn't to just add more stress or more information. This is so that we can get curious about how we are designed, how we are meticulously and purposely designed, and how one thing affects the other thing and how it all intertwines. It really is beautiful. And so, as I'm processing the video that I shared, what really came to me, is about how in my original nervous system teaching, I believe that I covered about how as we go through different ages and different experiences in our life, that when we experience things that created a negative experience, like I'm not accepted, or rejection, or abandonment, or fear, when we experience fear or rejection or uncertainty leads to fear, right? In our nervous system, as young, impressionable beings, as children, so the research and the science says sometimes it's through the age of 7 or through the age of 9 or through the age of 4, your most impressionable times in your period of life. But I think that as humans, we're constantly going through really hard things that we don't know how to make sense of during the time that we're going through. And that's what I'm talking about. And so every time, especially particularly as children, when we experience a heightened state of emotion event, if we're not going to name the emotional experience, we could say that it was a heightened state of emotion that produced a feeling of fear or uncertainty, and we experience that with the lack of a safe witness, with the lack of someone who was not in fear, that was stable and grounded in truth and love of God, that could be there as a support for us in our innocence and impressionable age to lean upon. When that happens, when that safe witness, when a grounded person that can see what's happening and speak into that memory in that moment truth, I see that you're afraid, but you can find safety in me. We'll get through this together. Or I know that must have been hard for you to go through as your parent demonstrated violence or anger. And you're shaken up and afraid right now. But I want to let you know that that had nothing to do with you. You're not alone. You're loved, and you'll get through this. Do you understand what this hand represents? It represents a covering, a safe witness. But when we're children and we're impressionable and we have these experiences of heightened state of emotion, without that covering, without that groundedness, has nothing to do with blaming our parents or anything like that. We're just talking about the situation. Here we are at a young, impressionable age with this heightened state of experience and this vulnerability of, I am experiencing and witnessing disturbing or scary things, or my coach called me stupid in front of the class and now I'm feeling humiliated. And that we make conclusions and deductions. Like, maybe I'm not good enough, or this is my fault, or I have to stay really small and quiet so that I don't upset the angry, violent person, or whatever it is, or like I have to make straight A's and do my best and fix everybody's problems so that I can be seen and be good enough, or I can be loved. We make all of these false conclusions, or we make the best conclusions we can at that time without the grounded, safe witness there to speak truth into that situation. And so we make these conclusions that will best support our survival and our ability to cope and to get through that. That's called survival. What happens is the little girl that experienced that heightened state of emotion, that emotion maybe that we took in and we felt, but we never were able to actually like release and process, gets stored as memory in our bodies. And when that memory gets stored in our bodies, it stays there. It stays there as like a memorial, waiting to be remembered, waiting to be made whole with the love, with the light of love and presence and compassion. So when I say that we are on a journey of women who are remembering, and we get to a point in our life where perhaps we have grown bigger in size than what we care to see in the mirror. We've added on pounds of inflammation, of added weight, because perhaps we have to lean on comforting foods because there's an ache and there's these parts inside of us that are waiting to be remembered. And what happens is over time, when these situations, when these memories are not addressed, it becomes a state of not ease, okay, not harmony. Think of what is the opposite of ease. Think of the opposite of what is harmony. It's disharmony, dis-ease, okay? Chronic symptoms in the body is disease, dis-ease, okay? And so the journey that we're on, mind, body, spirit, of remembering, of supporting ourselves in winter, and you'll hear me use these words over and over, of kind, compassion, gentle, is because there are parts of us that are stored and buried. There are versions of our younger selves, and even our adolescent selves and young adult selves and mid 30-year-old selves that have been frozen and stuck in confusion frozen and stuck in a void absent of love, the light of love. The Bible says God is light, God is love. And darkness is simply the absence of light. And so we have these pockets, I think of them as darkness. And within that darkness, our heart remembers. And God designed our body, okay? We have a brain inside of our skull, and that's the one that we learn about the most through like modern education and just normal awareness of humanity. But we also have a heart. So this brain in our skull we know that it is like where our memory is stored and comes from, right? Well, our brain has a heart. Our heart has a brain, okay? So this brain in our skull is electric and magnetic. There's now technology that can measure these brain waves. Like if you have something wrong or you hit your head or you have a seizure, you go to a doctor, they connect you to an EEG machine, okay? They'll connect your heart to an EKG machine. What that is it's measuring the electric current, okay? So our heart has a brain. Our gut has a brain, okay? Science is now showing that your heart is stronger electrically and magnetically and holds more memory, exponentially more, I forget the exact number, than this. So our heart is actually giving signals, messages to our brain in our head, in our skull, more so than this going to this. So when I say that we need to take an elevator from our intellect and learn how to embody our faith and come back home to our full selves, that is how important that is. And so what happens is what God has shown me, and this is just like my spin on it through like my intense healing journey with God that I'm still on, is that the body speaks on behalf of the heart. Because you see, all of those void, dark places of memory frozen in time that didn't have the safe witness of light and love to nurture and comfort that vulnerable, innocent child or adolescent or whatever, that memory, whatever age you were at that time, those memories are like pockets of darkness that are manifesting through physical symptoms because they've been neglected for so long. And it's like our heart speaks on behalf of our body. Our body speaks on behalf of our heart. And so when I was in rock bottom, having to get in 40-degree water because I was in so much extreme pain. My body was screaming in pain. I had traveling pain throughout my body. It would cloud my ability to think. It would freeze me. I was in so much physical pain. My body was screaming on behalf of my heart. What was my heart saying? My heart was saying, come back home with a flashlight. The flashlight is the light, the love of God, and come shine that light in the dark, void places, those parts of you that have been forgotten, because they want to be redeemed and restored. Jesus is the Redeemer. My Redeemer lives. He lives. And he came to redeem humanity, right? But he also came to redeem time. And when we can be in a space that starts with learning how to be present with us and seeing ourselves slowly and gently, we can go with our Redeemer back into time, because time is within our body has stood still. It's like snapshots were taken of those moments in time, and they're stored in our body. And when we go back in time with the Redeemer, and he redeems this time, these moments, these memories, these parts of us, that part of me that got stored and frozen in time, when I go and tend and love to her, that is restoration and redemption that's taken place. And whatever that area of darkness, when it gets filled with love and we allow ourselves to not only remember the pain intellectually, but we actually sit with ourselves and allow us to feel that emotion, that memory, we allow it to come to the surface, and it's right here, okay? Like it's visceral, like we're feeling, we remember back in time how scary it was, how vulnerable we were. And then we bring Jesus in on the scene. Our body, through our ligands and our emotions, it's actually like this hormonal thing that happens in our body when we we have receptors on our cells. And so imagine this cell is holding this dark memory, and when we start to feel our emotions, it opens the receptor cells up, okay? And it's like, okay, I'm here, I'm at the surface, you have reignited me, and I'm open to new information. And when we put in love and God's light and love, we're shining that light in this dark place, the fear, the vulnerability, the trauma that we went through is now mixed and intertwined with God's love and rewiring, re-seeing, redeeming the memory. However God leads us to repaint that. And there are times where I work with women one-on-one, and God will give me a vision or give me a new story, and we redeem it and re-see it as little girls, and we paint the picture, and we allow ourselves to be in this heightened state of emotion again. And just like how when you put cream into black bitter coffee, it becomes palatable, the memory gets redeemed and restored and becomes palatable again. And then when that cell closes up, you come out of that memory and you're a different version of yourself. You reclaimed that part of you that was hidden and buried and abandoned. So that is one way that we restore the physical body. Some of us might not be ready for that. But we also, okay, have this nervous system that's full of memories. The memory, or the habitual state of being, I should say. Once we heal these memories and our emotions, our nervous system, we have to work with our nervous system, and that's in our body. And that is where these practices, so when we talk about the word somatic, the word soma refers to the body. And so whether or not we're ready to go into that deep emotional work, we're just going to shelf that for a minute, okay? If you're ready, that's beautiful. And if you're not, then that's okay too. But along with that emotional aspect of the redemption, reclamation, and remembering work that is extremely powerful, comes the work of helping the body remember that it's safe again. And that was going to be the point of this video, and I totally went off on another complete tangent that I wasn't even expecting to speak about, but that's okay. This is what I wanted to invite and offer to you 20 minutes later, is like I was saying in the lymphatic video about how when a child needs to be calmed or nurtured or brought back into safety, like a toddler, like, it's okay, I'm here. I want to invite you to, like, every time that you come to do your 3-minute lymphatic and you're touching yourself, your nervous system, your body's receiving that nurturing and that tender touch. Or if you put a song on, like I offered earlier in the week, a 5-minute song to move. So, like, this movement is remembering. Every time you offer yourself a hug, okay? Every time you offer yourself a rocking, this is like your opportunity to be that parent, to be the safe witness for all the memories and the parts of you that your body is communicating on behalf of your heart. This is a way that we tend to our heart. And each of us would do it for the ones that we parent, whether or not we've birthed physical children. All of us in this group have some heart that mothers, whether it's the people we work with or our nieces or nephews or our children that we've birthed or that we've adopted, or sometimes we're mothering, other adults that just come to us and look to us as safe spaces. And so just like we would offer like support and compassion to them, to witness them and see them, this is the opportunity that we have through our lymph to send this message to our bodies. Look, we are on a journey of remembering. I'm teaching you how to be safe again. I'm teaching you how to receive. I have so much love for you, and I'm teaching you how to receive it. And we know that we know that we are loved by God, and that God's love is endless, for God is love. But our body needs to learn how to receive God's love. Our body needs to know how to be seen, how to be held. And the way that we train it, the way that we create this opportunity to truly be held by God, to feel God's love and support, is it starts with us creating this reality. Because again, in my other video, I talked about how we've been trained to tend to everything on the outside, but not the inside. And so this is just all a explanation, a demonstration. I'm offering this to you and from many different perspectives. And I know that it might be deep. And if you're just like, Elise, you lost me a long time ago, that's okay too. Because you know why? I'm planting seeds. And if you took the time to listen to this and you're just like, your girl lost me, that's okay. Because guess what? Every seed that produces life has to die first. And your heart is the perfect tending soil for God's seeds. God's word. This is the words that he's given me, and I'm imparting and sharing it to you. So if this needs to be a seed that dies and produces life later on, I'm okay with that. And I hope that you can be okay with that too. So let's see. Let's take some nice, slow, deep breaths to just integrate this. And I'm going to see if anything else comes before I end this video. Okay, I think that's all I have for this video. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And I'll see you next time.